Good morning, Rabboisai. Leilui nishmas imi merasi ruspas Mordechai. Lerefuah Shelaima. Chano bילא bas שיינדל ריבקה. Lerefuah Shelaima. By Moshe Hirsch. Leilui nishmas my grandfather Mordechai Elyakum ben Dovid Tzvi Lando. In honor of his yartziet, he was from the pioneers of modern day kollel, who went to Eretz Yisroel 60 years ago to learn in Kamenitz after he got married. May his Neshama have an aliya. Moshe Hirsch, we owe him a big akar. He runs the newsletter. If anybody wants to be on the newsletter, I don't know how to, whatever. orhamerkaz.com.org. I just made that up. But get in touch with the Olam. It's good stuff. 14 pages of interesting things. Get to know the Olam. Different people say different divrei Torah. Dave Carlos's divrei Torah, 2 of them. By Herzi Hasenfeld. He was a guest here the other week. Big Talmud Chacham. leilui nishmas Reb Naftali. I know this name. This is my grandchild's name. Reb Naftali ben Nota Yitzchak Jacobs. Mayor Jacobs' grandfather. That's my son-in-law's grandfather. So Herzi Hasenfeld is my son-in-law's uncle. By the Saka family. Somebody sent me, I forgot to bring it here, but the Saka family also, they're on the cover of that famous sefer that does the Yomi, the Rambam and whatever, one of those. Saka family, in honor of our father's 49th yartziet, Yosef ben Salim, also somebody very familiar with. The grandchild, Salim, used to come to me for Shabbosim, many Shabbosim. A lot of you guys know him. Salim, I don't know if you remember, I did a Shinui Hashem without his permission. In Shul, I changed his name. I said his name can't be Salim. It's like a Michael, it's like a Phil. Salim is Arabic. For Shalom, we changed his name. But he was masking for a day and then it didn't work well with his mother. May his Neshama have an aliya. MDY family sponsoring today's shir again. Leilui nishmas Yerachmiel ben Yisroel. See, this is what happens when Yeshua's not here. This one didn't make it up somehow. We needed 2 people to put the charts up and they missed one. But still good. Yerachmiel ben Yisroel, Yehoshua ben Boruch Nosson, and Henoch's brother Yosef ben Shlomo Zalman. The Neshama should have an aliya. Wow. What are we going to do today? A lot of gifts, Rabbi Isai. This one is a beautiful one. Check this out. Gary. Spacing out. Let me read this first. To Reb Eli and family, thank you so much for, he means the family, the MDY family, I'm sure. Thank you so much for bringing the sweetness of Torah back into my life. From Andrew Fuchs and family, Woodmere, New York. New York, you got to see this. You know what, I'm going to pop it open. It's beautiful. You took a picture and you put it on the chat, but all these people on YouTube need to see what's going on here. Here, look at this. And 8-minute daf and MDY. It has a note here. One is milchiks, one is not. Now they're both milchiks. Maybe no. One is fudge. What is? Hold on. Chocolate inside, vanilla inside. All ingredients. Badatz, Eid Charedis. Woo, comes with a hechsher. Maybe because I said something. This is gift number 1. Now, this is a surprise gift. Mr. Kayak was in my house. Nobody knows who he is. I could just say, he came. He brought me a... I should really read this maybe first. Is this instead of an email? Really? I'm opening up now. He told me now. Are you sure? You know what it is? Okay, I'm not reading this letter. I'm opening Motzei Shabbos. Gewaldig. You're going to have to tune in. You're going to have to tune in Motzei Shabbos. Talmid Chacham, go to the front of the list. Here we have a big Talmid Chacham from Lakewood. Yonasim Fine. He's the brother of the rabbi in a shul I go to a lot in Chicago. Reb Menachem Fine, big Talmid Chacham. This person learns all day. Reb Eli Shlita. We go back a long way, you just don't know about it. Now I do. Our newest connection is that famous Eli Trapper. You guys know who Eli Trapper is. On Zoom, he's the one that reminds me that I have to go to Shacharis. is my favorite. He's his favorite brother-in-law. We love all the attention he gets from you on Zoom. Although I can't claim to watch his shir, some of my sons do occasionally, I do ever love catching the classics. The one from Pesachim, Mem Dalet, actually corrected a mistake I recently made. The one that I dipped the challah into the wine. He said he was learning the sugya, and now he learns it differently. He's medayik from a Rashi somewhere that I was right in my pshat. What is this? That being said, yes, the kasha. What do you say? No, I don't answer kashas. Next, this is from Mr. Bobblehead. There's a serious lack of singing in the Masechta, and I don't think we had any in Eruvin. Sing us a song. You're the Magachir. Did you steal one of those? What is going on? The Olam is eating my candy. Give that back now. Okay, fine. You better leave me some. No, here, give me that. I don't care that a bite is taken off of this. I'm putting it back in the... Okay, fine. Sing us a song, You're the Magachir. And, we're late. You know what? Real quickly, this one is from Stan. Thought you'd like to know, I've developed an obsessive-compulsive disorder. I come home from shul and I rush to do the daf. If I cannot get it right away or finish it, I become anxious. That's such a bracha. I've mentioned to you before that in the decades of learning Gemara, I have never looked forward to learning it until I attended your shir. The medication for this type of anxiety is to be on top of the daf. Thanks for prescribing the cure, Stan. All right, gewaldige stuff today. Today is Daf Mem Zayin, and believe it or not, we are holding the last words of Daf Mem Vav Amud Beis. Boruch atah Adonai Eloi melech haolam sha'akol niyeh b'dvaroi. Finished off yesterday. Machlokes. What happens if you bake on Yontif for Shabbos? Yontif for Shabbos. So we had a machlokes. Rav Chizda says you don't say the concept of hoyel. Hoyel, maybe guests will show up. Just it's actually mutter to cook on Yontif for Shabbos. Midaraisa, it's mutter. You just need an erev tafshilin, midarabanan for a heker, but it's mutter. And Rabbi says no. We need to come on to the idea of hoyel. Perhaps guests will show up. I said real quickly, there's an afkamina. What if you are at the last moment of Yontif? There's no hoyel of guests because guests cannot show up within 30 seconds. But if there's a heter to cook on Yontif, then there's a heter you could cook according to Rav Chizda. So, that being said, says the Gemara, Eisvei, Kasha, Lechem aponim, Nechal letisha. By the way, does anybody know what the word palgus means? It's a word that you could show off to your friends, that you go to Daf Yomi. You know what palgus is. What's palgus? We had it. You guys don't know what palgus is? You know what palgus is. Palgus. Okay, we'll get to it. Also, you'll have to wait till the end of the daf to understand, to get the answer. Lechem aponim. It's the 12 loaves of bread. Some say it's shaped like this, a tefach wide. What happens with the lechem aponim? You bake it typically on Friday. You switch out the old breads that were there for a week. You put them into the shulchan. And these breads that you baked on Friday stay there for a full week until the following Shabbos. How many days later from time you bake it till time you eat it? So, if a baby's born on Friday, the bris is on Friday, that is 8 days. So if it's 1 day later, it is 9 days. I'm just giving you a way how to chop it real quickly. So, if we bake the bread, these are the days of the week. This is Shin, a Shabbos, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, Shabbos, Friday. Typically, we bake the bread right over here on Friday. Here's the bread. We put the bread into the shulchan right over here on Shabbos, then we eat it 8 days later. So basically, we're baking the bread 9 days before we eat it. Special nace, it was fresh, smoke, mamish, beautiful. 9 days. So the Gemara is just saying that there's a possibility of baking it 10 days before. And then 11 days, that's it. When? If there's Yontif, or 2-day Yontif, then we have to push off the baking all the way to Wednesday sometimes. What's the case? Nechal letisha, la'asara, l'chadasar. Sometimes, typically, it's 9 days. We bake it 9 days before we eat it. Sometimes 10 days, sometimes 11 days before we eat it. Lo pachos v'lo yoser. It never goes more than 11 days. Keitzad? Kedarkoi, typically, letisha, we bake it on Friday before Shabbos. Put it into the shulchan, let it sit there for 8 days. And then we eat it, the kohanim eat it, so that's 9. Nefo berev Shabbos, nechal b'Shabbos letisha. If it's baked on a Friday, right over here on Friday, then 9 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. I even put it in here for you. Chal yontav liyos berev Shabbos. But what if Friday is yontif? We don't bake the bread. We don't push off. You hear? This is the kasha right here. We don't push off. We don't bake on yontif for Shabbos. Okay? We don't bake on yontif for Shabbos. So what do? You bake it 1 day before yontif. Chal yontif liyos berev Shabbos, nechal Shabbos la'asaros. So we bake it on Thursday. Mechaven to the Gemara's teretz. Shnei yomim tovim shel Rosh Hashanah, nechal l'Shabbos la'chadasar. So if there's 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, which fall out on Thursday, Friday, so I cannot bake the bread on Thursday like I did before, so I got to bake it on Wednesday. If I bake it on Wednesday, it's 11 days before I'm eating it. As Rashi, a bomb question. It's very kedai to see this Rashi inside. We're not going to go through the whole thing inside. If you bake the bread on Rosh Hashanah, right over here, you bake it before, so it comes out that 10 days later, from Rosh Hashanah, is Yom Kippur. How, if you have it over here, how do you eat the bread over here? You can't eat it. It's Yom Kippur. So it's more than 11 days. What? It's 12. So Rashi says, because what happened was in those days, why do we have 2 days of Rosh Hashanah? Because the Eidim didn't come, they didn't show up, they didn't make the first day of Rosh Hashanah, they came late, so everybody has to be careful and do the first day of Rosh Hashanah. So what happened was, they came after Mincha. And Memela what? It says Rashi, even if this is the day, by the way, he says you could also eat the bread on Motzei Shabbos, and Rashi says a tremendous chiddush here. I don't think I knew this chiddush. When it comes to the Beis Hamikdash, the night goes by the day, not the day by the night. In the Jewish calendar, the day starts at night, and the following day is part of the night. Not in the Beis Hamikdash. Beis Hamikdash, Motzei Shabbos is considered Shabbos day. So you yaitz. But Tosfos asks a beautiful kasha here. We have to understand Rashi. If in fact, he says, if the Eidim came and showed you on Erev, if they made Thursday Rosh Hashanah, so Rashi comes up with the whole thing that you could eat a Motzei Shabbos. Says Tosfos, if the Eidim came on Thursday before Mincha, then what's the following day? It's not Rosh Hashanah. They came on Thursday, so there's only 1 day Rosh Hashanah that year. If there's 1 day Rosh Hashanah that year, then they could bake the bread on Friday. So Rashi doesn't have to come on to this whole idea that they bake, you could eat it on Motzei Shabbos, and Motzei Shabbos is part of Shabbos. Okay, anyway. But I got to show you a shocker, something that really shocked me. I never knew this halacha, mamish zero, and I wonder if anybody knows this halacha. Look at the end of Rashi. Rashi dibra maskil shnei yom, 20 lines from the top. Shnei yom shel Rosh Hashanah. It starts all the way at the end. Look what Rashi says. Ushnei yomim tovim shel Rosh Hashanah dafke nokat. Why did Gemara talk about Rosh Hashanah, not Pesach? The bizman lechem aponim lo yhayu shnei yomim tovim shel galuyos. Says Rashi, unbelievable. You have to be medaik in the words though. You have to learn it well. Rashi says that in the time when there was lechem aponim in the Beis Hamikdash, There's no second day of Yontif in Yerushalayim. What does that mean? What does that mean? Nachamal. When there was Lechem Apanim in the Beis HaMikdash, there was no 2-day Yontif Pesach, no 2-day Yontif Sukkos in Yerushalayim. Meaning that when there's no Lechem Apanim, you should do 2 days of Yontif in Yerushalayim, even in our days. In our days, it should be 2-day Yontif. That's what it seems like from Rashi, because Rashi is talking about in Yerushalayim. In Yerushalayim, there was 2 days of Rosh Hashanah by Lechem Apanim. Anyway, that's how a lot of people want to be medayik this. What?
That's why we bring in all these Americans to Rechavia.
We bring them all into Rechavia, these Americans. But guess what? I found something out. That the second day of Yontif here in Eretz Yisroel, there are those that are makbid not to do malacha d'oraisa, not to open up the stores. The Minchas Elazar says he shouldn't do anything. There's a Zohar that says that if you keep the second day Yontif in Eretz Yisroel, Mashiach will come earlier. I thought it's a joke. The second day, my wife only moved to Eretz Yisroel because of the second day Yontif, so she could do malacha d'oraisa, to be over on the Zohar. Anyways, the Chazon Ish was makbid not to do. You knew about this, leilui? The Briskerov, he's shaking his head. Okay. I think for me it's a big chiddush. I do have to say that Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach points out that if you're mekayim the second day of Yontif, Bizman Hazeh, here in Eretz Yisroel, you're over on Baal Tosef. So he's saying you should be Shev Al Taisa. Don't open up your store. Don't get in your car and drive around. Don't do malacha d'oraisa. Don't turn on the fire. But don't make a seder. Don't bring, wear your strimal. Well, the strimal you wear on Chalamayit. What? Right, you don't keep it as Yontif. You're keeping it as Yontif, you're over on Baal Tosef. It's not a steer to the Minchas Elazar in the Zohar. No Chalamayit trips. Well, you could go, if you walk to the zoo, it's fine. All right, anyway, just thought I would point that out. Says the Gemara, anyways, we're in the middle of a question here. So why can't you, these Lechem Apanim things over here, these breads, why can't you make it on Rosh Hashanah? Make it on Rosh Hashanah. Why do you have to do it on Wednesday? It's Yontif, you're baking on Yontif for Shabbos. What's the problem? We just said, according to Rav Chizda, you don't need to come on to Hayel. You should be able to bake a bread, no problem, on Yontif for Shabbos. According to Rav Chizda, that you could bake on Shabbos, no problem. You don't need guests, you don't need any Hayel. And that's what the Dak was saying over here. When you're baking on Rosh Hashanah for Shabbos the next day, great. But you're baking for Shabbos the next week, so you could eat. What are you asking, Yosef? I see a good kasha.
You always make it for next week.
Why? Yeah, but you're not being doichi yantif. Over here you want to be doichi yantif. When it falls on a yantif, you should be able to. So I'm telling you, don't be doichi yantif, do it on Wednesday. But they ask a good kasha. L'mais, it's for the next day. It's for the lechem aponim to put in the shulchan the next day. Yes, there's a part of it that you're eating over here, but it's still a mitzvah to put it in the shulchan for a whole week. Okay. So he says an idea. I could push off Yontif if it's for immediate purposes, but not for 8 days from now. Reb Shimon ben Azgan was a kohen. He was a Zgan HaKohanim. You could push off Yontif even though, in other words, you could bake the lechem upon him on Yontif, even though you're only going to be eating it 10, 11 days later. And you don't do it on Yom Kippur, on Yom Kippur. But according to him, your Sfar doesn't work. How could you be Daichi Yantiv if it's only 10 days later? So that goof is the machlokes, says the Gemara about Pligi, Marsav Shvus Kroive Tiru, Shvus Rechoika, Loi Hitiru. Well, Marsav Shvus Rechoika, Nam Hitiru. And this Zgan HaKohanim says, no. Even a far away Derab Shvus of baking today on Yontif for Shabbos, and the Shabbos is in 10 days from now, I'm allowed to do it. Most of Rav Mari, same kind of question. Shtei alechem, the two breads you bring on Shvuos together with the korbanos on Shvuos, einen echalois, lo pachos mishnayim v'lo yoser shloisha. These breads, you make them erev yontif. You eat them on the second day of yontif, so it's either 2 or 3 days away. Keitzad nefois erev yontif nechalos liyontif l'shnayim. The second day of yontif, so if you make it erev yontif, so it's 2 days away. Chal yontif liyos achar Shabbos. And if erev Shabbos is erev yontif is Shabbos, you can't bake it erev yontif. So you have to bake it 1 day before that on Friday. On Thursday. So you bake it on Thursday. Friday, you bake it on Friday. Shabbos is nothing, it's just a regular Shabbos, and Sunday is Yontif. So it's 3 days before. It says Mefurish, you can't push off Yontif to bake the Shtei Alechem. And if you say that you're permitted to bake on Yontif for Shabbos, according to Rav Chizdash, this Shabbos be Yontif. Shari, if you're allowed to bake on Yontif for tomorrow Shabbos, the Yontif be Yontif mibaya. So why can't he bake the bread on Shavuos for Shavuos? What's the problem? On the first day of Shavuos, you should bake the bread. Rashi just sticks in here that there's no hayol here. Hayol, this guest. Over here we're not talking about guests. We're talking about the breads of the Beis HaMikdash, or that you could eat it. Forget about guests. Hayol, you can eat it. You can't even eat it, says Rashi, because you have to wait until the korbanos are shechted. Okay. Shani asim domakro lochem. So in the famous pasuk of Oichel Nefesh, it says, Ach asher ye'ochel l'chol nefesh, hu levada yaseh lochem. Who's allowed to do Oichel Nefesh? Who's allowed to cook on Yontif? Lochem. For the usage, your own personal use, but not for the use of the Beis HaMikdash. You don't have a heter. Nowhere in the Torah does it say you could bake on Yontif for a Beis HaMikdash. It says you bake on Yontif for yourself, for your guest, not for the Beis HaMikdash. Lochem v'leilui gavoya. Ule Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, the Omar Mishum Reb Shimon ben Azgan, doiches Yom Tov. Doicha es Yom Tov. No, we just said Reb Shimon Gamliel holds, Reb Shimon ben Azgan, you could bake on Yom Tov. It's not a problem. So how is he going to explain this pasuk? How can you bake on Yom Tov? It says Mefurish in the pasuk, Ach lochem. You cannot bake on Yom Tov for the Beis HaMikdash. He learns this word completely different. You could bake for the Beis HaMikdash. Lochem just means for a Jew. It has to be for a Jew, not for a non-Jew. They discuss very interesting stuff. What if you have somebody that's becoming a ger? We have people that are becoming gerim on Zoom. Becoming ger. Every Shabbos Yontif they spend by frum people, and now you're making food on Yontif for them. It's a big problem. You're not allowed to.
It's never only for them. So
According to this mandama. No, that's you're adding. Okay, fine. Yeah. Why not? And baya, you make it on Yontif. It's fresher, better. Shtei Alechem, I don't know. Shtei Alechem doesn't say that about. But even Lechem Aponim he says it about. It's interesting, if somebody's over, let's say he has a guest, he figures, okay, I have a chashuv guest coming, he's in the process of becoming a ger. The wife wants to be nice to him, and she knows he likes a certain steak, so she prepares a steak for him. That should be awesome. What do you do now? Only for him. Yeah, only one steak. It's a problem. So they say, I think Rav Shach says that he should eat it. Because if he eats it, he's megal afterwards. The Gemara says that according to Rav Chizda, you see that if a guest doesn't show up, you eat it yourself, then it's mizgal l'mafreya, that it's okay. So over here also, you should eat it in order not to be over, otherwise you're over. Anyway, Zog the Gemara. Shalach le Rav Chizda l'Rabbi biyad Rav Acha bar Rav Huna. Rav Chizda gave this over. Rashi goes in to explain that he explained it to him beautifully, to explain it. That, in other words, he was a bar hachi, this Rav Acha, he's Talmid Chacham, he understood the question. It's a very interesting question. Look at this question. It's a riddle. It's really a riddle. The Shas is full of these riddles. How is it possible that a person is related to his mother's this, and then the same person is his grandfather? Or how is it possible that a person with one action is over on 8 averis? 8 averis. So this is the sugya of chayresh telem echad. If you plow a field, as you plow, you're over 8 averos. How? Think about it. How is it possible? You're writing the Gemara, it's a riddle. How can you be over 8 averos in one shot? So, this is not all 8. This is some of them. Gary, you got this? Maybe you should zoom in a shtickle, no? But you can walk slow, it's fine. You have an ox and a donkey. Right there and then, you're over on one avera. Shor v'chamor, by the way, I had a different picture, I thought it was cool, but whatever. Even if you do, because there was a Gemara in, I forgot where, in Chulin, in Erechin, that if somebody plows with an ox and a bird. So I had a nice picture of that. And also the Gemara said an ox and a fish. If you go next to the river and you grab a fish, you remember that Gemara? Fine. It's any 2 types of things. So here you got this. Now, this ox was designated as a carbon. Designated as a carbon memela. If you use it, you're over on using a shar for a carbon. And this one right over here, this donkey, you cannot bring as a carbon, obviously. So it's for bedek habayis. That's meila. So now when you take these 2 guys, you're over on 3. Carbon, meila, shor v'chamor yachtav. Happens to be, you're in a cemetery. So what does that have to do with you? Because you're a kohen. And not only you're a kohen, you're a nazir. So just for you being there and doing the charishi, you're over on 2 for nazirus and tumah. It happens to be that it's Pesach and it's Shemitah. Okay? But it's Yontif, not Shabbos. Shabbos is not a problem because Shabbos, you don't get Malkus. We're talking about Malkus. Shabbos, you'll get Misa. The person will get Misa, not you. The person will get Misa. In order to get Malkus, it has to be on Yontif. And there's one more, Kalayim. So let's see inside. Huh? I said Nazir, no? Yeah. I said the Kain is a Nazir in the basic Kvaris. Says the Gemara, so he sent with Ravachah bar Avuna, Mi Amrin Hoyel. Over here you see from this amazing question that you don't say Hoyel. Why? But not. It says, Yesh Chayrish Telemechad V'chayiv Aleo Mishum Shmoin Alavim. It's possible to get 8 Malkus in a row. HaChayrish B'shor V'chamor. He's with the ox and the donkey together. V'hei Mugdoshim. And they designated for Kodesh, as Rashi explains, not as you think in the Gemara, but one is for a carbon and one is for Bedek Habayis. Uklayim Baker. Now it's very important that Rashi said that anyway, not because a donkey can't be a carbon, but because it has to be separate Averis. Because I could also bring a fish and another this, and I'll be over 3 right there. No, it has to be separate lavim, different lavim I'm going for. Not the same lav 3 times. But that would then that's exactly what I just answered. Then you wouldn't be over 2. You could be over Me'ila on the other one, but I'm over another Isser, another pasuk Rashi brings. It's called Loisavoid Bibchar Sherecha. That's nothing to do with Me'ila. That's using a carbon. I want to get to 8 different lavim. V'klayim bakerem. Oh! Right over here, you don't see it, and I couldn't put it in, but there's some seeds here that by you, no, you can't zoom in. Don't worry, Gary. I didn't put it in. I didn't put it in. It wasn't. So by you going through with the plow, you're mixing the seeds into the vineyard. A lot of things are going to go wrong because Yeshua's not here. He doesn't even hear me, but whatever. You should just know. There's no this, there's no that. There's a vineyard in the cemetery. And there's a kohen plowing here, and he happens to be a nazir. Ushvius, it happens to be Shemitah. Be Yontif. Only on Yontif, not on Shabbos, does this apply, because on Shabbos you get skila, not malchus. Kohen v'nazir, Beis HaTumah, it happens to be a cemetery. So what's the question? V'i amrin and hoyel. So I'm talking about hoyel. What's hoyel? Since this and this far-fetched thing is going to happen, could happen. Somebody's going to, when was the last time a guest knocked on your door unannounced on Yontif 2 hours before Shkia? Never happened. But since it's possible that a guest could show up, So Mamela, I'm allowed to cook right now. Isn't that a far-fetched thing? Here's even a further fetched thing. So I don't have 8. I only have 7. Why? What if I happen to bump into a bunch of dead birds that were shechted, and I have to do kisei dam? I have to cover the blood. How do I cover the blood? With dirt. I need dirt. I need to soften up the dirt. I'm not going to go into the answer, but there's a major question here. Even if you shechted a bird and you need dirt, you can't plow your field to get that dirt. So how could you even make that into hayil? Okay. We're talking about stones. Pointy stones, regular stones. Lo mishaneh. Oh, I say lo mishaneh a lot. Somebody told me. Lo mishaneh. Lo mishaneh that I say lo mishaneh. Ba'avonim mekurzolos. There are a bunch of stones here. You can't do kisei dam with stones. You know, there are stones that you could do if you, as the Gemara says, ru'uyos lekachtam. You could grind them down. L'chayr, according to this Gemara, you could do kisei dam with baby powder. Talc. Talc is a stone, no? Talc powder. Take the talc and you grind. It should be okay. L'chayr, I don't know. I've never seen anybody take the baby powder. There's going to be a lot of extra baby powder now from Johnson & Johnson. They don't sell it anymore. So you get it for, the schlachthäuser. They could. Uktisha beyantiv mishari, what? What do you mean you're going to grind it down? You're not allowed to grind on yantiv? What's grinding called in Hebrew? Toichen. Says the Gemara, ruiz the kachin kalachiyad. We're talking about Isser. Yeah.
I'm afraid to ask. Did you do the sponsors?
Oh, you mean to turn the page? Yeah. You're just spacing out. No, you're spacing out. You're schmoozing on the chat again. We just turned to Daf Yomi Beis, sponsored by Gedalia Fenster. Lerefuah Shelaima of Yerachmiel, Daniel Ben Tova Basha Rabbeisai. This is not a joke. 14-year-old just went through a bone marrow. Should have a Lerefuah Shelaima. I just want to stop here for a second. I see Reb Moshe Hirsch is on. Mark Brown, Shalom Aleichem, Mark Brown, how are you? Who else do we have? Moshe Hamburg. Guys, you got to come on. Yitzi Spiro. What did I think about Yitzi Spiro the other day? Something about electric in Chicago. I don't remember anymore. Okay. And Simon Cohen, I got to talk to you. Because I'm on this new diet, I don't have that thing anymore. So it's the diet. Fine. We'll schmooze afterwards. Not in front of everybody here. Zog the Gemara. So, we're just trying to figure out what does he need. We have a hoil here. Hoil, and he needs the dirt to cover the blood, that if he finds a bunch of, I don't know when the last time you were walking in the street, you found a bunch of shechted chickens that need to be covered blood. But we're going to go with the furthest fetched thing ever and say that your harisha, your plowing the field is not a big deal, because since you need it, the Gemara is trying to describe when do you say since, when don't you say since. Zok the Gemara, I'm just thinking now also, if there's metal, if you grind up metal, we learned, maybe it was gold. If you grind up gold, you could use it for, you got to be Meshugana, but you could use it for, I guess Trump, that's what Trump uses for Kisei Adam. Grinds up gold everything. Did you see my toilet? Gold faucets, gold this. All right. Says the Gemara, so again, since I could grind it in a weird way, but you're not allowed to grind in a weird way, but we're talking about the Eraisa to get Malchus, not like those kids. Remember I told you that story? The kids were trying to turn on a light on Shabbos with their shoe. They're trying to see who could hit the switch with the shoe because it's kalachar. Okay, we're not talking about that. That's a problem. But we're talking about if a guy did a kalachar and he's not over the Eraisa, so how is he going to get 8 Malchus? Really goes kalachar? Bitsunma. We're talking about a rocky place. So it's rocky, then you just ruined it for yourself. So how is he planting here? How did he do climb? So I'll try to get out of it. It's tough on top, it's softer on the bottom. But I need to get to the bottom to get the soft dirt. So maybe I shouldn't be over anyway. All right, anyway, so we're done with that. Elo Mar Baravashi. So says Mar Baravashi Betino. We're talking about mud, Vatino Barzriu, but you can't plant in mud. B'misunta. So we're talking about mud, so I can't do Kisei Adam. But since it's wet mud, I could plant in it. So here's a riddle for you guys. Riddle mood. If you are a Magachir preparing a Daf Yomi, how would you connect this sugya that we just learned to Daf Yomi? 10 seconds. That was the struggle I had. How do you connect this to Daf Yomi? I'll give you a hint. It has to do with a green kayak. No, I just messed it up. I ruined it for you guys. So I want to tell you like this. This sugya of chayrish telam echad obviously applies also to mitzvahs. You do the reverse, the mitzvahs. There's a possibility of a guy doing a chesed, doing a mitzvah, and he doesn't understand the ramifications that he has. I told this to Mr. Kayak yesterday. You give a kayak to a kid in Lakewood, and there's 100 people around the world that are learning the daf better and stronger because of that. They feel connected, they feel geschmack, that we're part of a chabur that's doing such chesed. So yesh chayrish telam echad, the guy does one mitzvah, it's actually 8 mitzvahs. It's 1,000 mitzvahs. In mitzvahs is much more. You don't know where it goes. Anyway, that was my, you gotta think weird like that, no? Reuben is shaking his head. Zog the Gemara, Eisvei Abaya, huh? I got a stempel of approval from Judah. Thank you. I appreciate it. A song. Babelhead wants a song. You should give us a song right now. We have 7 minutes. What? Levi, do it. Let's hear. He's singing a mitzvah gereris mitzvah. Says the Gemara, so here we're in the theme of riddles. How's it possible that a guy cooks a couple of foods and he's over on 5 different lavim? I had the tremendous chus of getting this picture from our very big Talmud Chacham in-house Shoichet, Rabbi Avram Weisfish from Manchester. He watches every single day. I believe he's on Zoom. I don't know if he's on right now. So he sent me this picture. Here he is. You could zoom in on this, Gary, please, with a Gid HaNoshe in his hand. Beautiful. If anybody wants to know what a Gid HaNoshe looks like. Here's the piece that he retrieved it from. Yes, his beard matches his Yediyas HaTorah. I'm not joking. I know him personally. I spoke to him in learning. Big Talmud Chacham.
I can't focus on the good enough, that piece of meat looks really good.
This looks good, this piece. You take that Gid HaNoshe and you throw it into a pot of milk. On Yontif, v'oichloi, and you eat it like a chamesh. So you're over on 5 lavim. Here you go. 2 categories, as the Gemara is going to explain. One is you ate a Gid HaNoshe. Oh, that's a big problem, it's a big no-no. Al kein lo yoichlu b'nei Yisrael's Gid HaNoshe. You can't eat Gid HaNoshe. It also happens to be that the Gid HaNoshe is basa b'chalav. That piece of Gid, Rashi points out right away. Yesh begid b'nois and tam. You have to say, that's a whole different sugya. Is a Gid considered food or is considered a bone, that a sinew that has no, it's not food. Okay, it is food, it's basa, yesh b'nei. So you're even 2. Now also, you cooked on Yontif. You can't cook on Yontif, only tzarich ha'chol nefesh. That's not a tzarich. So you cooked on Yontif, you're over. Malchus. You hear? You can get Malchus for cooking on Yontif. And you cooked basa b'chalav. Because basa b'chalav has 3 yisurim. Number 1 is bishul, like we discussed the other day. Achila and hana. Says Eli Stefansky 3 times. So you're over on basa b'chalav eating it, but you also mevashel basa b'chalav. What's the 5th one? That's today's sugya, that's tomorrow's sugya a little bit. We're going to go into it. We'll see how much we could get. Says the Gemara, Rabbi, I need somebody to pay attention here if I skip a word or 2. I'm getting too many of these emails. You skip 1 word, you skip 2 words. They're scared that when they get to the Siyam HaShas on the yacht, we're not going to let them on because they didn't finish. There's 1 word on Vav. You know, you got to be careful. You do. That's not a judge. It's not our fault that he has COVID. Does he have COVID? What? We're going to be on the same boat. We're all going to be on the same boat. Yes, no. I just saw. Yeah.
You're not eating it while you're cooking it.
Correct. But that action, I hear. And when you came into the Beis HaKfaras and you became your kohen and a nazir, when did that happen? You didn't just fly out of the helicopter. What? It happened a minute before. It's not bevasach. It means like doing that melacha causes you 8 malchus. I didn't know that has to be the same millisecond. What? The kohen arrived and started plowing like he didn't walk into the Beis HaKvaros before.
Every second that he's walking, he's getting over that Isser. Over here, you're not eating it, you're not sticking it in the pot while it's cooking.
But the point is, here's a riddle. How could you, when I got to 5 lavim by eating it, how do I eat it? I had to cook it, I had to this it, I had to that it. Do they speak about it? Let me know. Here's the 5th one. He's over for making a fire, a flame. Now, obviously, a flame on Yontif. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you at the end of the day, if we go to the end of the sugya, it's that he used the wood of Hegdish. It's not this. We're going to take this Havara out and try to fit the 5th one in. Says the Gemara, V'yamrin Hoyel, and if you say the concept, since it's possible, listen, this will happen, the guest could show up, Avar Leil Chayev, why is he over on the 5th one? Hoyel the Chazil Tzarkoi, I need to use it for myself. I made a flame, you're right. What did I cook now? Gid Anasha. But in 2 hours from now, I need that same fire to make an omelet. So it's okay? You're right. Apik Havara va'ayil gid Anasha shel nevela. Let's change it. We're talking about another Isser, nevela. This gid Anasha happens to be from a dead animal. That's the fit. Says the Gemara, that doesn't work. Nevela would be in the red category. Gid, eating bas b'chalav, eating a nevela. But there's only 2 in the first category. There's 3 in the second category. How do I know this? He says, there's 3 in the second category and 2 in the first. This category should have been 3rd. We got to be talking about wood. That's muktzah. What's muktzah? It wasn't prepared before Shabbos. We know about muktzah. We always think muktzah is the rabbanan, touching a pen, touching that. No, muktzah is the raisa. Muktzah the raisa? Yes. Right now we're saying muktzah the raisa to fit it in. We're going to say muktzah is not the raisa. You have to prepare it before Shabbos. Not only that, you get malchus on it. Why? It says you can't do any malacha, so you got 2 things. So that's the 5th lav, muktzah. You took wood that wasn't designated for fire on Yontif, you found it in the forest on Yontif, and you took it, that's muktzah, it's also. You yourself told me that's not true. They asked Rav Chizda, Rav Huna. Hey, he said, may offer. He took a sheep, he wanted to bring a carbon on Yontif. Where did he get it from? Undesignated. He found it roaming around in his field somewhere, but it wasn't designated. He didn't think about it before Yontif. And he shefted it as a tamid. Carbon tamid is a ayla. Then there's a whole pasuk here. There's a pasuk in Yecheskel that says, so the Gemara is going to take every word and darshan something from it. Se means a sheep that could be a male or a female, zachar nekeva. Memela, it cannot be bechar. A bechar is only a zachar. So memela, it can't be a bechar. When you bring a tamid, it can't be a bechar, firstborn. How do I know it? From the word se. Achas, well, from the word one, I learn v'loy meiser. Take every 10th animal is meiser behema. You can't bring it as a carbon. Echad means it should be by itself. Okay, and this came from 10. Says the Gemara, minat soin, from the sheep. Veloya palgos. Oh, sorry, palgos is the last word. Whoever left now. Palgos is a sheep that's not a keves and not an ayil. Meaning, from month 12 until 12, he was a keves. From 13 on, he's an ayil. In between 12 and 13, he's a palgos. Okay, palgos. Now you can show off to your friends. Go around asking people. Mina Masayim. What's Mina Masayim? From 1/200th. What does it mean? Mamish doesn't make sense. So now the pasuk is talking about Nesachim. So Mina Masayim teaches us Mikan la'arla shebetela b'masayim. Bittul b'roiv, when it comes to arla, fruit that's less than 3 years old, is 1 in 200, not like truma 1 in 100. Mimashki Yisrael, says Rashi, means the Suda of Yisrael, min amuta Yisrael, something that's permitted to a Jew. You can't bring the nesachin, the libations, the wine that you pour in the mizbeach, it can't be from something you didn't take truma meiser. Oh, here goes the point. Maybe I would think that you can't bring something that's muktzah, wine that I didn't designate. I said I'm not going to drink from it. I put it on the side. I want to age this wine for 3 years. Maybe that's the. It has to come from within. Isser guf, not because I decided I'm not going to use it. How could I make this distinction whether the Isser comes from within itself or the Isser came from external? If muktzah is muktzah and it's the Raisa, I can't make such a distinction. Let's just stop over here. If smack in the middle of the question, have a wonderful day. Noam. Adonai Shema b'kollel, tienos dach kashuvois, tekod Adonai. Ima v'oinoi tishmo yadini me'amoin. Muchas dikol demant v'orei. Kivisi Adonai kishtan avshil dvorei choldi. Avshil Adonai mishemrim naboiker, shemrim naboiker. Reis Adonai me'aches v'avim kedos. Eretz Yisroel, Mikol, Rabbi Yisrael, Yosef, Hoim dem beim bayom beim bayabash magmar nimtzim zum mugel nimtzim la stop. Azom kiruvim im amen. What's going on, Rabbi Sai? Avram, I love the pictures. Now I can use the Loilam Vod. Did Anosha whip out that Avram Meisvish picture? Chaylev, Avram Meisvish. Shkoyach, I really appreciate it. 15 years ago, I had a shoichet. Yeah, you know him, Andrew. Yale Ray was in my shir, and one of the best things ever. He brought me a lung, and I blew into it we did it at the shechita also, but it was so beautiful. In the middle of the shir, pull out a lung, and it blew up like unbelievable. It was great.
Yeah, that's the hands-on training. I've seen that. Rebelsky used to do that.
Yeah.
Something which is you can grow it. So sand from the sea cannot grow anything. It's not kosher. And
What's that word you said? What word? What? I didn't hear the word. It has to be what?
it has to be awful.
Yeah.
It has to be matzmiach.
Ah, matzmiach. Very good. So maybe you keep a matzmiach in gold.
No. There's a posture which is called afros zol.
Oh. So it's only gold. It's only not every metal. Oh, I remember something. Yeah. Only gold.
Coin?
Afrizov.
It's worth more than gold.
Listen, if you have to do the mitzvah, Tosis talks about it here that he's concerned that by the time he goes home to get ofar, it's going to be nivla in the ground and he's going to miss the mitzvah. So if that's the situation, you have a gold watch. It costs $20,000. You teichen it immediately. You got to do the mitzvah. Listen, you got to do it. Mitzvah is a mitzvah. It doesn't matter how much it costs. Gold, that's what you have available. You do it. A Rebbe would do it in a second, in a heartbeat. One minute. So is the Gidan Nosha? It looks like a bone almost. Maybe it's just in the picture. It's soft, no?
It's soft. It's soft.
Yeah, but that's not what it looked in the picture. Yeah, Imamish looks like a bone.
That they can eat? They eat that meat? That they cut away? The filet mignon?
This meat is kosher. A lot of people don't know how to make mikru or
Could you tell me what's in that box, please? I think he told me I could open it today. I should have.
The restaurant Lechem Basar serves it. It's a Black Bush restaurant.
No, but only for Sephardim. Only for Sephardim. Yeah, Americans. No, I'm saying Ashkenazim usually don't have the tradition. A lot of Americans go there and eat it. They think, I also did once.
It's a plaque from Phil, but he's only watching him with the Shabbos.
No, he said he'll watch today. Yeah.
He's not on today.
Who-
You said it was the mud and you put a seed inside and you said whoever knows has 10 seconds and I got something. No, 10 seconds.
You got it?
With the mud.
What did you say? What was the answer?
Or something.
Yeah, what?
That even if someone goes off the dirt like the mud, you can always put in the seed to make it good and go back to a belly cheer.
Pshee! Yeah, gewaldige stuff. What? You get 1,000 points for that. 1,000 points.
Eli from Phil, and he asked Yoshua said most Shabbos, he's not watching it.
Listen, they have a service that they'll bring a Slurpee from 7-Eleven from Muncie all the way to Eretz Yisroel. It's $22,000 and 59 cents. It'll come cold. They'll put it in dry ice. They could ship it with the vaccines.
-70.